Hey guys, welcome to the Urinary Models video number 2. We're looking at a similar model to one we looked at in the first video. This is a kidney model. We can see a lot of good stuff here. We can definitely see the kidney right here. That's probably a little bit too small of an arrow. Let's make that guy bigger and pinker. There we go. There's the kidney right there. And I'm actually pointing at the renal cortex when I'm pointing right here. Renal cortex on this kidney. In this kidney, we can also see a couple renal pyramids. There's some renal pyramids. Collectively, the renal pyramids make up the renal medulla. Each renal pyramid has a tip called the renal papilla. So we labeled a bunch of renal papillae right there. Now, let me erase all this. We're getting a little cluttered here. The renal papillae are going to drop urine into a minor calyx. There are two minor calyces right there. When two minor calyces unite, they are going to form a major calyx. When major calyces and minor calyces all unite, we get the renal pelvis. The renal pelvis then becomes the ureter. So we can see all that here. Plus we can see an adrenal gland. We can see the inferior vena cava. We can see a renal vein or two. And we can see a renal artery. So lots of good stuff that we can see here. Lots and lots of good things. All right. If we look on this same model but a little farther down, we again see the ureters. There's a ureter. There's a ureter. Now we also see the urinary bladder, although it's not cut in this one like the other model. We can still see the urethra, though. The urethra is right here. Now, we also see some reproductive structures. We see a prostate gland. We see a seminal vesicle on both sides, actually. And we also see a pair of vas deferences. All right, so lots of stuff that we saw on the previous video, on the previous model. This model has some similar things and some new things. Similar things, okay. Well, I can see my renal cortex. This outer region here is the renal cortex. I'm putting in all sorts of arrows in the renal cortex so you know exactly what I'm talking about. That's the renal cortex. The renal cortex, we mentioned that last time. Now this, I don't want an arrow, I want a marker. This guy right here, this beautiful thing, is a renal pyramid. All the renal pyramids together, there's 4, 5, 6, 7 renal pyramids. All those renal pyramids together make up the renal medulla. Other things we can see. I can see a renal papilla right there. Let's get an actual arrow. There it is, renal papilla hiding, hiding renal papilla, hiding renal papilla. So renal papillae are right there. Renal papillae are going to drip urine into these minor calyces. From the minor calyces, urine would flow into a major calyx. All the minors and majors empty into the renal pelvis, which then empties into the ureter. Okay, what else can we see? There's still other stuff that we can see that we've met already. Like, for example, this renal column right here. Renal columns, of course, are regions of cortical tissue between the pyramids. We've also can see a renal artery. We met that before. And a renal vein. Okay. What else can we see here? Well, we can see the outer layer of the kidney. This outer layer of the kidney is called the fibrous capsule. It's going to help anchor and protect your kidney. So we can see that. The other thing we can see here is we can start to see some of the blood vessels. Now, we already met the renal artery. The renal artery, we met him already. Let's put an arrow on him. There he is. The renal artery quickly branches to give us some segmental arteries. So there are a pair of segmental arteries right there. So let's write that down, segmental arteries. So we get a segmental artery. There's going to be several segmental arteries going to different regions of the kidney. The segmental arteries are then going to branch themselves, and we are going to get some interlobar arteries. All of these guys running up through the columns are going to be interlobar arteries. The interlobar arteries are also going to branch. When the interlobar arteries branch, we get these arteries that are going to extend and kind of curve over the renal pyramids. I'm putting these blue arrows on interlobar arteries. So we're going to have some, sorry, not interlobar, arcuate arteries. Sorry about that. I'm already 6 minutes into this video, so if I make a mistake, I'm going to correct it and then just keep on going. So those ones I just put the blue arrows on, those are my arcuate arteries. All right, let's clear all this up. We'll do one more artery here. Let's clear all this stuff up. We can also see these arteries that are in the cortex. These arteries that are in the cortex, and all of these guys, I'm tagging some of them, but all of these guys here, they are all interlobular arteries. So coming off of the arcuate arteries, we're going to find interlobular arteries. Now, the interlobular arteries are going to give us some arterioles and capillaries that we're going to deal with soon enough. But then we're going to get some veins. And we can actually see just, the veins aren't well represented here, but I can see an interlobular vein right there. There would be countless interlobular veins. They're only showing us one on the model for some reason. Interlobular veins will then give rise to arcuate veins. And I got an arcuate vein right there. So we go from interlobular veins to arcuate veins. The arcuate veins then join together, and the arcuate veins are going to give rise to segmental veins. I'm going to put a bunch of arrows on some different segmental veins here. And I said segmental veins. I didn't mean segmental veins, because I am just full of mistakes today. I meant interlobar veins. My brain is getting ahead of me here. Interlobar veins in purple. There are actually no segmental veins in the venous side. No segmental veins at all. There are segmental arteries, but there aren't any segmental veins. And then the segmental veins go, and they're going to give rise to the renal vein. All right. Let's clear all that for a second. If we were going to do a full tracing and we started in the aorta, we would then go to a renal artery, and then we would go to a segmental artery, and then we would go to an interlobar artery. Then from there, we would get into an arcuate artery, then we would get into an interlobular artery. Then we're going to take some capillaries. We'll actually meet these capillaries in a minute. I'm sorry, we're going to take some arterioles. We're actually going to meet these arterioles in a minute. And we're going to take some capillaries, and we're going to take some venules. We're going to meet all these guys soon enough. And then from these guys, we would take a similar route back, but it would be veins. It would be interlobular, arcuate, interlobar, and then renal, because there would be no segmental. All right.